What's goody, everybody? This is Keem in the back with my tea of the day. Certified freak, 7 days a week. But as pussy, make a pull-out game week. So, WAP came out, and let's get into it. So, WAP came out. At first, when I heard that Megan and Miss Cardi B was going to do a song together, I wasn't here for it. I'm not even gonna lie. I felt like Megan just came off the hiatus of Hot Girl Summer with Nicki off of Savage Remix with Beyonce. Like, she wants people who's talented, per se. And, like, especially like her, Megan, she's all about females writing the raps and how she writes and everything like that. So I wouldn't think that she would really do a song with Cardi since we already know that she doesn't write. But WAP came out, and I felt like, off of initial listen, it was underwhelming. I expected more. I needed more. But I understood that this is their round. This is what they both talk about. So I wasn't expecting a masterpiece. I just expected more. But when I seen the video, that video was amazing. It was everything that I expected, plus more. It was the choreography, just to see Megan in that light, just to see Cardi just looking so visually stunning. I gotta give it to her. Cardi's all about visuals, and her visuals be everything. And I'm still here for it. So the video was amazing. The song, per se, like Cardi, I felt like she was kind of reading off of a paper, or was it like her flow was just kind of boring? Like, I felt like she was still trying to stay in a specific flow. Wasn't really bar heavy, of course. It just gave me what Cardi gives. And Megan, I felt like Megan sold the show. I felt like this was really her round. She switched flows. She looked good. And Megan, in my opinion, she killed it. And I'm happy that they actually did it together. And I just want to congratulate them for debuting at number one. Because they're the first duo to debut at number one in history for female rap or music in general, something like that. So congratulations with that. Apparently a lot of everyone was streaming, and there was a whole lot of controversy behind the song. At first I didn't know what WAP stood for, and so I listened to it again, and I'm like, oh, wet ass pussy. Go figures. But there was a lot of liberals, and there was a lot of men who were like, oh, but they're supposed to be role models, and this song is too vulgar. But Slavo Manab isn't vulgar. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you're a man and you're saying that this song is too vulgar, I'm fucking confused. Because I'm quite sure you told females to suck your dick, or Slavo Manab, or this, that, and the third. Like, there's been way more sexually perverted songs than this. This was like a nursery rhyme compared to a lot of other stuff. Yes, this was a sexual song, and yes, you should not tell a woman to not live in her sexuality, not be happy with the womanly and the woman that she is. Because they don't say anything when men are coming out with having bitches suck on their dick or goggling or this, that, and the third that you hear in male rap songs. But when a woman does it, it's looked at as it's a problem. It's looked at as like women shouldn't do that. And not for nothing, like, yes, they are public figures, but that does not mean that they're role models. You need to pay attention to what your kids are listening to. If you don't want them to listen to that, then that sounds like you as a parent problem. It doesn't sound like a musician or artist problem where they need to not be as sexualized or as sexy as they want to be. So, yeah, that's kind of that on that. So let's get into this little Kim wanting her flowers. So Little Kim was on, I guess, Fat Joe's podcast and thought Joe's not a rapper anymore. He's no longer doing music. He's just Remy Ma's sidekick, or however you want to categorize him as. So he had the podcast, I guess, now, and Little Kim was with her baby father, boyfriend, husband, whatever he is, Mr. Papers. And they was in a car and they did an interview together. And he was basically on some, oh, so do you feel like you still get your flowers? And she was like, no. Here's my thing, Little Kim. This is where I have a problem or issue with you, because I just don't understand it. How are you not getting your flowers when, yes, you were very influential in female rap and in rap in general? Yes, you made being sexy or a sexy rapper or hardcore, we're talking about sex, very publicized. Absolutely. However, you didn't fully write your raps, and we're not even going to get into that because you're still one of the dominant female rappers that's going down in history. My problem is, if you're getting all these award shows, people paying tributes to you, every female rapper is still saying your name, but no one wants to work with you, but you're not getting your flowers. Make that make sense to me, because at the end of the day, you're not putting out music, you're not putting out hardcore stuff, you're not putting out anything that's sticking. Your last album, 9, did absolutely nothing. This last 10 years that you've been in the game, you've just been talking about not getting your flowers, people not paying homage to you, and about Nicki Minaj, basically, the whole 10 years. And that's a problem. Like, how are you expecting to get respect and notoriety and XYZ if you're not doing anything besides talking about people? I'm not gonna act like you had the perfect uniting front with other female rappers in your time, because you went after Eve, you went after Foxy, you went after a few people. So we're not gonna act like you was a staple for female unity, because you're not. And it's sad that everyone bigs you up or says, oh yeah, I was influenced by Kim, because I feel like they have to, knowing that a lot of the female rappers are inspired by Nicki. However, I feel like you just, when is enough gonna be enough? Like, when are you going to feel like you got your flowers? That people respect you and XYZ, because regardless, everyone still respects what you brought to the table and what you created for the lane for everyone else to sit in. So I don't know what else you want from people. And it's really becoming annoying, and it's really becoming sad. It's like, do you want to be mother hen? Do you just want the respect? But then he comes on after and said, okay, so who would you put in? Like, how do you feel about WAP? People were like, well, it is what it is. Basically, she didn't really give a fuck about the song. She felt salty, I guess, because she wasn't included. And then Fat Joe also asked, okay, so what is it, like, how can we get another ladies' night, and who would you involve in it? And you know what she had the nerve of saying? She basically said, well, I don't know, besides me and Rem. Like, you and Rem are not best friends. You and Rem had beef as well. But y'all got together to take a female rapper out. What unity. And at the end of the day, he asked, who would you put in the song? Meaning you're not involved, but you still want to be involved. Why do you still want to be involved in something that you don't need to be involved in anymore? You have a legacy. And by you still trying to be involved and not changing with the times and not getting with the picture, like, rappers have a lifespan. Yes, you're still known 20 years later, but rappers have a lifespan. And your time, unfortunately, is over. So by you not trying to be behind the scenes and help these girls, whether it's rapping or just getting on people's things or using the OB or doing something, you want to be a part of the situation. Like, we need a new lady night, not a lady night 2.0 with you and other girls who you don't even like, who you don't even understand or don't even actually probably pay attention or look at. And that's the sad part. Like, you're really messing up your legacy. And hopefully you get it together, and hopefully this helps, because it's not a good look. Like, what are we doing here? Put out some music, be behind the scenes. If people want to use your stuff, give them the clearance to use what, or whatever vocals that they want to use. And if they feel like they want to put you on a song, let them put you on a song. But I think it's more ego than anything. Like, yes, you've been hurt. You lost Biggie, so then you lost your notoriety a little bit. You didn't lose your respect. And then the Notorious movie came out, and then you felt the type of way because Notori played the hell out of your role, but you felt like she was too dark. Like, you're not dark. Girl, bye. You mad because this is who you are. You was perceived as a hoe, whether that's what you were or not. And then he goes marrying Faith. Then he goes marry Faith Evans, and then now you look like a side chick. So you dealt with that. You dealt with the whole Cash Money thing where you felt like they bodied your style to give to Nicki and then didn't want to work with you no more. Then you dealt with the whole you and Diddy situation and how Diddy didn't protect you, or I guess put you under his wing after the whole Biggie being dead and stuff like that. So you definitely been through a lot. I feel like you can definitely put out a movie or put out something that's concrete to tell your story in your own version, in your own eyes. Absolutely, but other than that, let the new girls have their shine and stop asking for flowers, because you've gotten it. You've gotten awards, you've gotten people paying homage to you, you've gotten people emulating you, you've got people dressing up as you for Halloween, you've got the tributes. I don't know what else you want. Unless you specifically say you want X, Y, Z, then I guess the industry can see what they can do if they haven't done that already. But I think it might just be a you problem. And I think you really need to just sit down and just not be so angry. And I'm not saying, like, you have rights to be angry, but let's not act like you wasn't the top person in the 90s. And they didn't forget, and they completely tried to erase what Foxy did. And Foxy gave you free money. I never personally listened to Foxy. Maybe I need to revisit that. But it was you for me. And for me to see you still in this day and age, looking the way you do, acting the way you do, it hurts me to my soul. It's like, damn, like, this was a female rapper I looked up to. Like, she was the top dog. Like, she was my number one. And just to see how life treated you and how you're not making your situation any better. Like, put people under your wing like you wanted to do to Nicki, or you wanted to do to other people. Really put people under your wing and create this ladies' night, because it's got to be epic, whoever you put in it, because it's going to be done by you with love. And even if you be featured in the video, yes, but you don't need to be a part in the front of that. And just really worry about female unity and really try to big up rappers. And try to big up female rappers and really start pushing your pen. And please start with the auto-tune. But other than that, it's just, yeah, I don't know. But thank you for listening to episode 57 of Kimi with the Cheese podcast. You can hit me up on Facebook at Team Holder, or you can hit me up on IG, Mr. Holder, and just let me know what you thought about it. You know, share it, let your friends, let your family share it, and just let me know how I'm doing. And if you want to actually be on my podcast, that would be dope. I'm always looking for some new talent and some new conversations and important conversations to have. And I always want to do that with other people. I don't want to necessarily always do it by myself. So definitely hit me up on that. And thank y'all for listening. And thank y'all for making my last episode almost had 50 plays. Like, thank y'all for really listening and diving in to Black is King with me and that moment that it had and the moment that it has and how prevalent it is for today's times. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Laters. Was Giddy? And I'm back with my tea of the day. Welcome to episode 59. I got a special guest for y'all. It's one of my good Judies. And it's time for us to have a little conversation. What's good, boo?
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. So we're here today because we have some things to discuss, to debrief, and to get some opinions and some clarity on. So I know you heard my last podcast about domestic violence and transphobia. What was your thoughts on that and this whole Megan Thee Stallion aspect and the trans woman who was brutally abused?
It was, oh my gosh. It was like it's horrible, but it sheds a light on like what's really going on. Stuff that like I feel like we kind of just push to the side and we're just like, "Oh, that it does happen, but you know what? It is what it is." But you can't push it aside no more. Like I feel like especially in the LGBT community is not going to be pushed aside. Everyone has to be treated with respect, with love. Um, with the Meg Thee Stallion situation, oh my God, the way that she was treated in the end, like I needed clarity on like why she was like shot in the first place. Who pulls a gun on
Mm,
someone and just shoots them? That's not even a thing that you should be doing. But then it's
right.
also just the fact that she wanted to save him from having to go through the whole process of dealing with the police because already, you know, in the black community, well, black and brown community, we're dealing with having to get pulled over and stopped by police and police brutality. And it's a lot. And I understand that. But when it's taken to the fact that you're protecting someone who could have could have killed you, that's
Mm.
something that I don't even know. I mean, I support her 100%. Like, she didn't even have to give me proof. I didn't need proof. And I felt like she shouldn't even have to have gone out of her way to give anyone proof. You don't have to justify being shot. You were shot. You don't have to justify that at all.
You shouldn't have to, but unfortunately, I guess in this day and age, this climate, people want proof, visual proof, because words clearly
Mhm.
aren't enough anymore.
Yes. And to, domestic violence just in general is scary. And I can only speak on like what I hear, especially if like you're trans and dealing with domestic violence. The question is when you go to the hospital, if you get a chance to go to the hospital, will they take you seriously? Will they treat you as a person, regardless of you know who you were born as? This is how you feel. You are a woman. No one wakes up in the morning and they say, "Oh, I'm just going to be a woman." No, you go through the process that is physically and emotionally, it's draining, but you go through it because you know that this is the life that you want to live, and no one has the right to put their hands on you, to treat you any way. And everyone needs to be treated as an equal no matter what.
That's very true. And unfortunately, I hope that people really understand that everyone is human. Everyone has a right to live their life and how they want to live it. If you don't agree with it or you don't understand it or you don't like it for whatever your reasons are,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you get to now make a change in terms of putting your hand to someone because you don't understand instead of just
Exactly.
acting. So you was born a man, but then we always just I feel like as people we always look at for a trans woman what's between the leg instead of what
Mm-hmm.
they are. they feel. Like, yes, their body part might be different and may be the same, but that doesn't define a person.
Exactly. 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 And people are just trying to live. Like, who gives you the right to sit there and put your hands on someone? Like my advice to everyone, mind your business. Everyone's just trying to survive and trying to live. Mind your business. If you don't get it, you don't understand, you don't like it, keep it to yourself. Or do what most people do. Type it up online. But don't sit there and come out of your way, physically put your hands on someone. Like, that's not cool. Like, we need to do better as a society. And it
We
starts with
do.
just, have sitting down, having a conversation, getting to know the person, not the exterior, but more so the interior, because that's really what matters the most.
Can you say that again? Because that hit home. That was something special and deep that people I feel like need to really hear.
Yeah, just focus on the interior, because the exterior, it doesn't matter at all. Nothing about what you look like on the outside matters. Is what matters is on the inside. That's, oh my God, to me, that's the most important thing about a person. That's beautiful to me.
What they represent, not what they look like. And that's a great um admiration to be and want to look at. Because like yes, appearance is cute. We all do look for, I guess, people who look like something or something like that. But most of all, you want someone who's gonna actually treat you right, who has morals, who knows their self worth, who like has things going. Not necessarily their
Mm-hmm.
looks. Like their looks should just be an add on. It shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
the main
Exactly.
deal breaker. So
Exactly.
I heard you got into something new. How was that? Something special.
Yeah, I got a new man. I'm very
Yeah.
happy. Yes, very happy through like kissing so many like frogs. I found my prince and I'm very happy.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So what did you look for when finding him, if you were looking at all? Or did it just magically happen?
I'm gonna be honest. I really wasn't expecting anything. I've always told myself I wanted someone who treated me right. I have flaws and I wanted someone to look at my flaws and just be like, flaws? What flaws? You're perfect. Even though there's no such thing as a perfect person, I want that one to look at me in the eyes and just be like, you're perfect, and treat me the way you would want someone to treat like your mother, your sister, your daughter. That's something that I really, really wanted. And I met him online, and I met him like last year, December. We started talking, and I was like, you know what? I really don't think we have much in common. This is probably not going to go anywhere, but you know what? I really just need a distraction. Um, so we started talking, and then maybe like 2 months in, I was like, we've been talking online for like a while. I feel comfortable giving you my number, because no guy is going to wait 2 months to get your number from
Right.
offline. They're going to eventually move on. So we exchanged numbers and we started talking. The first time we met, I think I was just really nervous. And I was like, you know what? I don't really, maybe it's my vibe. Maybe the first time I see him, I'm thinking like, I'm not going to like him at all. There's going to be something about him that maybe he's not going to look like his picture.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There do be a lot
so
of
I,
catfish out there. Mm-hmm.
let me tell you. So we met up, and I first saw him and I was like, wow, I don't think he's my type at all.
Mm.
And I always
So
go for the same type of guy. Yeah.
what was that? What would your ideal type be? And do you believe in red flags? And if you do
Uh,
believe in red flags, how do you basically pick them out? What's your take and what you don't want to deal with, kind of thing. Because everyone has their thing that they'll be okay with or not fully okay with, but they'll kind of have to deal with, and some things that like
mhm.
deal breaker kind of thing.
Mhm. Exactly. I'd have to say maybe a red flag for me, how do I spot the red flag? What was your first question?
Since you have a type, what exactly would that be?
My type. So for me, my type would be someone that I automatically have that like that firework, like something in me gets me going. I'm just like, ooh, I need that guy. And it could be, I love tall men. That's
Okay.
always been my thing. Love tall men. I love brolic men. I love men with like that Rick Ross beard. I don't know why. I just do. And there's like I love men who have like a swagger to their voice. I don't know what it is. I think because I have like a crush on Snoop Dogg and I love the way he talks. And when I meet a guy who talks like that, I'm just like, wow, there's something about this guy. And that always attracted me. And I think some of the red flags came with experience because I've dealt with a lot of guys and I've gotten my heart broken quite a bit because I was naive. I was young, I was naive, I didn't have experience. Um, I would say red flags to watch out for is that gut feeling. And that gut feeling is you just know that there's something about him, just not, you don't even have to be near him. You can talk to him over the phone and you can read what he writes and just something just doesn't sound right. Or, you know, or when you are near him, you get these weird feelings and it's not butterflies. You can tell the difference. There's just feeling about him like you can't quite put your finger on it, but you just know like there's something about him that just isn't right. Or you're sitting together and to me I'm all about like if we're going to be out, let's put our phones away. He has to look at his phone. Or when you guys are together and he's looking at his phone, you can't see the screen because it's facing the other way. That's an automatic red flag. You paying for the bill on your first date. I feel like I feel like I feel like that's a red flag because at least try to take out your wallet. Like for me, I never have a problem with paying because I don't know why. I'm independent and I was so used to always paying for my own food that is just like paying for someone else's shoot, that's a regular day.
Right.
But when it becomes all the time that you're constantly paying or when you want to go out and his first thing that comes out of his mouth is, yo, so do you have money for that? Because where am I getting the money from? That's a red flag. That's an in your face red flag.
That's a hi, thank you, goodbye.
Exactly. Like I've had so many red flags that over the years that I ignored and I learned hard lessons because the red flags, oh my gosh, you'll get your heart broken. Some of the guys, they didn't treat me right. And I can't fully blame them. I can only blame myself because I ignored it. Because I was like,
Right.
well, you know what? It's okay. Because, he likes me. So it's all right. And it's not okay. It's really not.
So, in this new relationship that you're so happily in, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy that you're just happy. Like,
Yeah.
you're just so happy, so angelic, just so like giddy, and it's so cute. So, were there any barriers that you felt like going into this relationship that it may not work, or was you just so head over heels, or just so this is gonna work regardlessly?
um, for me, there was a big barrier. My barrier was fear.
Hmm.
And the fear came from the fact that, I have HPV. And for those who don't know, it's the human papillomavirus. It's a sexually transmitted disease. You you get it basically from having sex, and I got it from a guy that I don't even remember what he looks like now. It was so long ago, which is bad. And when I came into this relationship, anytime I met a new guy, that would be like the number one thing that we would honestly talk about. I would
Okay.
tell them up front. Um, but for him, I was scared because the last guy I told, it didn't work out. And I understood, but it was still hurtful. So it was about after we exchanged numbers a month later, after we met up, I talked to him And, I told him, I was like, listen, I want to be honest with you before we move forward. I have this, and, I truly understand if you don't want to be with me. When I was texting it, because I couldn't even talk to him on the phone. That's how, like, I don't know, I want to
Nervous
say
you
that's
was.
how nervous and scared, and I hate rejections. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh. So when I was texting it, I had that feeling in my stomach, and I was like, you know what, this probably be the last time we'll ever talk. So just do it, because you hold out, and it'll just make it worse. So I texted him a huge paragraph. I was like, if you want, we can just be friends if that's okay with you. And then he texted me back, and he's just like, he was like, why would I not want to talk to you no more? He's like, I love everything about you. He's like, and I want to know more about this. Like, let's talk about it, because, I want to take care of you. And when he said that, I was like, I've never heard that before. And it literally, it gave me this type of feeling that I'm like, this guy's going to stick around for the long haul, because usually when I would tell a guy, they didn't care, because they were going to get some and that was it. There's nothing for the long haul. But this
Right.
guy was here for the long haul. And like, when you have like HPV, you have to be careful. When me and him, we have sex, I'm extremely careful. Like, I it's something that's in the back of my mind, but I will never sit there and just let it, like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm always very careful. And we've talked about it. And you know, it's just like, it's going to be there for a very long time. And now that we've been together so far, it's been like what, 8 months. I still think about it, and I still worry, because I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, God, what if I give it to him? He didn't ask for this.
Mm.
What if we get married and he's like, I want to have children. Can we do it the normal way? Is that a thing? And I'm like, if he was to ever ask me to marry him, if we ever reach that point, we would have to literally have that talk, because that's something that's going to be, it's going to be around for until the day that I die. And people think, like, for me, when I first found out that I had it was quite a few years ago. My first thought was like, oh, okay, a couple of shots to the butt and I'll be fine. No, I called the nurse when she told me. I went to the doctor, I got a pap smear, everything. He gave me the works. And then he went through the whole process of explaining what it is, and explaining that, many people get that this isn't something that, like, no one ever gets. People do
Right.
get it. And when he was speaking to me, it felt like I was in a trance. Like, it's like I was there, but I wasn't there. And he looked at me. He was like, are you okay?
Like you
He's like,
couldn't
are you?
accept.
Yeah. I couldn't. And for the life of me, I cried, because I couldn't accept it. I was like, why? Why? And I knew, that this was going to be a problem. I felt it. And after I got my pap smear, the nurse called me, and she was like, "Oh, everything's normal. You're fine." So I told her, "When does it go away?" She's like, "Sweetie, this doesn't just go away. It may become dormant, but it doesn't go away." And for me, I was one of those people that it did not go dormant,
Mm.
and I couldn't understand why until he showed me my results, and I was like, "Wow." It was like another strain, like a higher strain. And I was just like, those are one of the strains that it doesn't really go dormant. And you have to be very careful, constantly going to see the doctor so that they can monitor, make sure you don't have any like cancer cells or anything. Because let me tell you, it's, it's a lot. But to find someone that is willing to just learn about it and not pass judgment, or not just be like, oh, one time and she's gone. That's it. I don't need to deal with that. But he, I knew he was different because he wanted to learn about it. And we talked about it. And I don't know, I feel like that's something that I needed. And it's crazy because I told my friend, I don't think this guy's really my type. And she's like, you need to stop looking at what is your type, because sometimes your type is no good for you.
Amen. Like,
And and she was
Like
right.
I
She
tell
was
people
right.
that all the time. Like for me, I don't have a type, and I don't have a type for a reason. I just know what I like,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily a type. I don't look for a specific type of man because every person, every man I dated was completely different in every way possible.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
why do you think it's hard for people to commit or want to understand or deal with something that's maybe foreign to them that they might be scared of, but this could be the love of their life? Like, why would they let that one thing ruin everything?
It's the I feel like it's the stigma and the lack of education. When we hear any type of STD, the first thing we think of like, yo, that dude or that female's a straight up hoe. Like, only a hoe can get that. Like, they must be sleeping around with a whole bunch of people, and that's not
But
true.
at all, because it's like that could be some people's cases. Some
Mm-hmm.
people, it could have just been a bad experience. Some people could have been born with
Exactly.
it. But if you don't
Exactly.
understand how it
Mm-hmm.
happened, then we're doing each other a disservice.
Exactly. Like you,
And then
before
you're,
passing judgment.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying before passing judgment, you got to educate yourself. Definitely speaking to a doctor, speaking to the person that you're with. There are a lot of people you can actually talk to, videos you can watch just to get better education of what something is.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like because society says something, everyone wants to follow that thing.
Of course.
Instead of like actually like if you like that person and you deal with that person and they're upfront with what they're dealing with in their life, it's not something that you have to deal with. It's something that if you decide to be a part of my life, that you're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to not necessarily be okay with, but you're gonna have to make sure that I'm okay. Or
Exactly.
you're gonna have to understand what it is. And if you want to ask questions, by all means, ask as many questions as you want. Like I'm quite sure I told you this. Like I dated someone who had HIV.
Oh, wow.
And although it was scary, I loved him. And I stayed, but I made sure that I was okay. I made
Mm-hmm.
sure that he was taking the proper meds and everything like that. And we had different doctor conversations just to make sure of the process.
Right. And like for you, when your partner first told you, like, what's the safety precautions that you guys took is extremely important, just like the safety precautions that me and my boyfriend took. Like, it was important because even though, like, you don't have it, he doesn't have it, they can, like, you guys can get it.
Hmm.
And practicing that safety precaution is one of the things that matters also, and knowing the things that you can and cannot do is important as well.
Absolutely. This education, educate yourself. Ask
Yes.
questions. Don't ever be afraid to ask a question. Don't ever be afraid to make like feel like you're asking a dumb question because the information's out there.
Yep.
And that's just for you, just so like people, everyone who feels like they can date someone who has a STD or some type of disease is like, I never understood that. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it might be difficult, it might be scary, but you have to think of the relationships that you probably been in that you never knew because they never told you.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
And
You
that
you
happens a
never know.
lot.
Exactly.
But for me, I feel like safe sex is just always the best way to begin with.
Yep.
Because, in my opinion, you can never be too secure in your relationship.
Hmm.
Well, you can be off of lust, but not necessarily off of love, unless you know deep down that you're getting tested, that you're good, or whatever the stats is, kind of thing, before the condoms go off. I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But that was your barrier. And once you found a real man, because there aren't a lot of real men out there, there's a lot of pretend to be men or
Yep.
men who think they're men until they get hit with some hard truth and they have to decide and they're not ready to make a decision. They're not ready to go out to the batting cage and actually swing and get a home run. They're just ready to go
Yep.
back to the parking lot and say, no, this is too much for me. I can't deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
once you found that real man, how was it afterwards? After unraveling your deepest secret and just laying it out on the table.
It felt like a breath of fresh air because it wasn't lingering. Like, in the past, I would wait before I sleep with the person, but we already would have been talking for like a couple of months and it was still lingering. And it was always there with every conversation. With him, when I finally let it out, it was just like, I could breathe and nothing changed. It was still the same old conversations we were having, laughing, joking around, getting to know each other. It felt great. It really did.
That's
Like,
amazing.
exactly. Um, I did ask him though, like, I'm all about like privacy. So
Absolutely.
I did talk to him and I was like, I know like when you get to know my family and I get to know yours, which is coming up soon. I already met like some of his family, but it's at that point where it's like, okay, I'm ready to meet yours. I did ask him to just not say anything to any of his family members, just out of privacy from me,
Mm-hmm.
because then it'll be. I feel like that would be too much.
Mm.
I wouldn't know if I'll be able to take that. Like, I can't read other people's minds when I'm sitting across from them, and if he says something, I can't read it, and I don't know if it'll be good or be bad. That anxiety would definitely kick in.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is it that you scared of the perception of you, or is it that you feel like the perception of you may alter his feelings for you?
I feel like his perception about me, I feel like it hasn't changed,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like his family's perception would,
Mm.
because there's the follow up questions. Like, we've talked, me and him have talked about, we've all had partners in the past, but I've never told him like if I had like the amount of
Right.
partners. I haven't had that many. I think five, five partners. Um, but obviously I only got HPV from one,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like if I was to have that discussion, you know, in front of like other people outside of just me and him and the people that I told, I feel like the conversation would be completely different. It would be, "Are you sure?" Like, I'm scared of like the stigma behind what people may think of me. Because if you already have your perception of someone who has like an STD, I don't feel like it'll change. You can look at one person who you don't know their sexual status and like, oh, that person's really cool. I like them. We can chill and everything. But then when you find out, would that change? Would you feel differently about that person that you're talking to?
Mm.
And it's just not something that I feel like I am comfortable or ready to deal with at the moment.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
completely understand that. Let's
Yeah.
change the narrative a little bit.
Mhm.
So we all know that Black women are very are unappreciated. They're disrespected. They are unfortunately looked at as the bottom for whatever reason. What have been your experiences as a Black woman? And then what has been your experiences with interacting with other Black women?
Um, I feel like right now, as an adult, I love my experiences with Black women. I love getting to know more about them. Because even though some of us may share the same skin tone, there's so many different shades of melanin.
Mm-hmm.
But, some of us may look the same. We all have a different We all have a story, and I love hearing the stories from other Black women, and especially being natural. That wasn't a thing for me in the past. I would look at someone else, I'm like, wow, that's a really like, that's powerful to just be like, just be natural and, just walk around with your regular hair. But I never had that in me to do it until, a freak accident at a hair salon. All of a sudden now I'm natural, and I get it. It's a different experience when you have natural hair. Like, you go through a battle
Mm.
with your hair, and an emotional battle. Listening to how Black women talk, and when they're in a grocery store and they have someone just staring at them, like, what are their reasons for being stared at so much? Like, for me, I remember one time I was on my way home, and I was talking to my sister. I was upset, and there was these four white guys that was like sitting behind me on the boat, and one of the white guys, I guess he figured I didn't hear him, and he was just like, why do Black girls always sound like that? And I was just
Hmm.
listening. I was just like,
Sound like what?
exactly. That's what I would love to know. Sound like what?
Mm.
I I love the Black movement that's coming up now, because it's like, we're not taking this nonsense no more. Like, enough is enough. Like, my skin does not define who I am. My skin does not define how educated I am, how talented I am, how well I speak, because people automatically assume, because like the color of your skin, obviously you're not intelligent. You speak in like ghetto ebonics. And I feel like now, like, we're coming out, we're like, whatever perception you've had of us in the past, that's gone. We're not putting up with that nonsense. We are entrepreneurs. We're not just, someone's nanny. You know, we are providers. We are people who already just take over the world, because change needs to happen. And obviously, it's going to have to start with us.
But how can we as people, I'll say more men, how can
Mhm.
Black men fully support Black women?
Stop letting other people define a Black woman. Stop allowing people to bash us, and stop letting our own people bash us. We got to support each other. And I feel like, for Black men, a lot of them come to our defense. We can't even say like all Black men do that. Like, all
Hmm.
Black men, talk, down about Black women. No, a lot of them come to our defense, because it's like, no, not all Black women are like that. They support us. And I think that there's no such thing as 100% support. Shoot, I'll take 95%. We need 95% of that support.
Why can't it be
And
100 though?
because there'll always be those stragglers that'll toggle, like, in between. Like, I'll support, but I won't fully support. I've heard guys say that they have their quote unquote preferences,
Mm.
and I I can't stand that. Like, oh, I can't do it like Black women because they do blah blah blah. So you're a Black man, so your mom is like that, your sister's like that, your auntie's like that. How would you like it if some dude said that nonsense to them? I bet you would not be happy. And if they change their narrative, other people would change also. Like, it's all about the way you say things. Like, don't get me wrong, you can have a preference.
Hmm.
Everyone has a preference, but keep it to yourself. Don't put down another group to lift up another. Like, what point does that make? Like, if you like someone of another race, if you that's your preference of women, go right on ahead. If you don't like women with natural hair, that's your personal preference. But don't sit there and make it seem like, oh, I don't like that because it makes them look like their hair is nappy, or whatever it is that they're gonna say about that. Like, we gotta support each other.
So
Like,
that does that still fall into not understanding, not doing your homework, not really looking at the bigger picture? Because Black women are multifaceted.
mm-hmm.
People are multifaceted. So just like how they might think black women are one specific box, but there's different type of black woman,
Hmm.
it just doesn't sit well with me. Just like how I guess how white people look at black people and how
Hmm.
they are afraid of us because we're so powerful, but we don't even understand our power.
Exactly.
That's the sad part. That's why they're
Exactly.
killing us. That's why they don't like us. That's why they don't want us in these seats because they know how powerful we are. But because we're in these predicaments and because we're in the places that we live and we had these experiences that we had, we forgot or we got amnesia to the fact of how powerful we really are, especially
Hmm.
when we stick together.
Exactly.
But until us as people really understand how powerful our skin tone is, how powerful we are just walking into a room,
Hmm.
then we'll understand the magnitude of graces and this beautifulness that we have.
Exactly. Like
That's
I is that in itself is like that power thing is amazing. And I feel like that also for us, we have to, I feel like why sit there and want to get a seat at the table? Let's just make our own table, put our own seats there, and we just invite people from all over and we just come together, we just sit down, because we don't need to try to sit there and hope that someone would sit there and slide over a little bit so that we can join that table. We make our own table, we make our own space.
with that, a lot of people unfortunately scared to do that because they feel like if that doesn't work, then they have nothing. So they'd rather have a little bit of something than nothing at all. But that's how you become successful. That's how you become a person. That's how you learn. That's how you live. That's how you grow as a person by being not being scared, by being unapologetically yourself, by standing up for what you need to stand up for. And if that means that you need to make your own table because this table is not for you, this table is not feeding you the food that you need to eat, then you shouldn't be scared to make your own table.
Exactly.
But the more people who are willing to make their own table, we have a lot of people out there making their own table and putting people on with our color.
Yep.
And that is amazing to see.
Mm-hmm.
We just need more people to just continue to
Yes.
make their own tables and continue to just build the black dollar. The black dollar is so powerful, but if it's not going in the black communities, it's nothing. And the more people who build the black dollar and who builds their own tables, we're not. That's not saying that we don't want the white dollar. It's just saying that we're tired of the white dollar telling us how much we can have.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So let's
So
end
like,
off with this because we've been on here for 38 minutes. And
wow.
a much needed conversation, and hopefully, a lot of people understand. They dealt with it, they have different experiences within the topics that we talked about. I just want to end off with this something light because this has been so heavy. So, I don't know if you heard about the newest versus battle that's going to happen.
Oh no. No, I didn't.
It's with
Which one?
Brandy and Monica. It is finally happening.
Oh.
It's happening
Oh my
August
gosh.
31st.
All right. So I'm already Team Monica. So, you
Well,
know.
I guess I don't have to ask you that, huh? But why you Team Monica? Then I'll tell you why I'm Team Monica. Because, yeah.
I'm Team Monica. I just feel like her songs, they're just amazing. Like I want to be down, and you should have known
I
better.
want to
Every
I
time I
be
listen to
down with
that
Jeffrey
song,
Brandy, boo boo.
oh my bad. I'm still Team Monica. But I felt like I was saying, I was like, wait, I think that's Brandy. That's all right. That's all right. But I should have known better. I think it was one of my favorite ones. And I was just like, ooh, I love that. Every time I listen to it, I just like close my eyes. I'm just like, yep, yeah, this is my song right here.
It puts you in like a trance. For me, I always go for the underdog. Well, not always, but in this particular case, like I like Brandy. She's a very great vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
However, I connected more with Monica. I connected more with her
Yeah,
songs, her vocal ability, that which I feel like is underrated. I don't feel like they give Monica's voice enough praises that they need to. Because in my opinion, she sounds better than Brandy. Yes, Brandy has all the runs and all whatever she can do, but in terms of like vocal ability, in terms of like vocals, I feel like Monica has it. And I feel like Monica has more
of course.
hits. I feel like Monica just has more, like, gives you more of a variety of music. You have your slow song, you have your hip hop and rap slash pop songs, just straight R&B. You just have different facets of Monica.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so here for this
Absolutely.
battle. I'm happy that they finally realize that this is what they need to do, and we're about to get it.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have to watch that one because I mean, I wonder are they gonna bring out all like a lot of like the '90s? Are they gonna bring some of like the ones that's like now? Like, how are they gonna do it?
They probably gonna start with the '90s and then come to current music.
I'm ready for that. I gotta watch that.
So as we end this, what last words do you want to give to Kimi's podcast listeners?
I want to say just let's just love and educate each other because that's right now that's kind of like all we got going for us. Just love and educate each other, and everything else they just it's just gonna follow. Just that's that's basically it. Just love and just educate ourselves.
Mm, I couldn't have said it better myself. But thank you for joining. Thank you for actually wanting to come on and deep dive into some tough, hard hitting topics that I know
Yeah.
you was a little nervous about opening up with those
Yeah.
topics. But thank you. I'm quite sure you're gonna help a lot of people out there that have that have the same experiences.
Yes, and I do, and I hope that anyone who's listening, if you're going through the same experiences, it might get worse before it gets better, but it always gets better.
Let's see when I know it always gets better. Thank y'all for listening to Kimi with DT's channel. Thank you. Hit me up on Facebook, Akeem Holder. And this was episode 59. Thank y'all. Laters.